Well, hello, that's me again. Today is July 11th, 2024, and I have some very interesting news for you guys. And the opening piece of music for my videos. It's going to be changing now, very often. It is a very happy news, and people who read my blog, they know. The person who wrote this music, and we lost contact with each other for 30 years, and he found me. He's alive and well. He lives in Finland, and again, he is a genius composer in the tradition of the Iron Lucassen and Pink Floyd and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And you will be hearing and listening to his music. And finally, I restored the contact. We have been very happy to find each other. And yeah, what can I say? This is a great news, and now the intros will change very often. I'll be introducing the music by Anton Ovcharenko constantly, and now my purpose in life is to make him go back to his incredible composing and basically record the album. And yeah, he thought he was done with the music. No. So that's the news. Now, let's get to our goat, so to speak. And the issue here is extremely simple, and the issue is that I'm not even going to be touching this air shaking in the NATO summit, because it's pretty much same old repetition of all those tropes, gaslighting and BSing, something like that, for example. And this is Washington Post. As I already stated, normal people do not work in American mainstream media. They're primarily human trash. Some of them maybe are normal people, and they just have to endure that, just to pay for their whatever rent, mortgage, family. But primarily, these people have no consciousness, and these are the lowest of lowest. And now the Washington Post openly accuses Russia of something which is, what can I say? They project constantly, being the U.S. being de facto now turning into the terrorist state. So they talk that Russia recruits sympathizers online for sabotage in Europe, officials say. And who are officials? Well, who knows who those officials are? As you all know, they pull it out of their asses and they just spread garbage. So yeah, now the technological and engineering incompetence of Europeans, which actually, the industrial objects fail, they try to ascribe to Russia. This is pretty much, what, if you have the constipation, Russians are guilty of that. You have the appendicitis, God forbid you from doing this, taken out. That's Russian, kind of operation. Practically everything what is happening bad in this world, and in the minds of those people and low lives who populate and infest Washington, D.C., it's all about Russia, Russia, Russia. So they go and do those things. They accuse everybody. They talk all kinds of the fluffy words. And for example, they suddenly declare that they want their long-range missiles. I didn't go to Frankfurter Allgemeine, which actually reported this, but here it is from today that media: Germany will begin developing long-range missile capable of hitting Russia. And so Frankfurter Allgemeine talks about that Germany, France, Italy, and Poland want to develop long-range missiles. Sure, let them try. I mean, actually, French were trying to develop it, and French have about order of magnitude more experience in developing this type of weapons than Germany, but yeah, why not? Sure. And they talk about they could hit targets in Russia from the territory of Germany, the article says. Well, then Russia might hit it back and Germany will cease to exist, but hey, whatever. And according to the publication, the defense ministers of 4 countries signed on the sidelines on the summit, NATO in Washington, a declaration of intent to develop high-precision, long-range weapons. But so far, the document contains only general formulations. It's all about general general formulations, because realistically they can do very little, and that goes either to the all kinds of weaponry, especially very advanced weaponry such as standoff long-range missiles. And Mr. Ryabkov, first deputy foreign minister of Russia, he just stated, and in the same piece you can go out and read it, that yeah, we're gonna respond calmly. There's no reason to worry, and Russia has about order of magnitude more capability to explain to Germany that Russians indeed can repeat, but this time they will not be rolling into Germany on the tanks. Nobody needs Germany, really, realistically. But when things begin to fly from Russia, that will be really bad. But still, those guys are playing games, and there is explanation. And just to give you example, there was a stunning development in Russia yesterday. I mean, absolutely incredible. And I understand, for example, you know very often that some, CIA director like Burns comes out and says, oh, we have this intel. Most of the time it's not intel, it's BS, but still, and we cannot say from who and how because we will, disclose our sources. Well, it's generally correct. Intelligence services, I mean, spies, actually, they definitely have a reasonable doubt of the, releasing some information, because it can tell you even who and how, it can point out to all those clandestine operations and people who run those. Well, SVR, Foreign Intelligence of Russia, did unprecedented thing, and they released some parts of the analytical materials. It's, they do have the reference to real intelligence, but they are done in such a way that without really giving any kind of direction or pointing towards a kind of what is called a resident, the station chiefs in for example, United States, France, and other NATO countries. And this has been done in this issue of the famous magazine called Razvedchik. Razvedchik means spy, intelligence person. As you can see yourself, it's the latest from the June 2024. It is an extremely fascinating and interesting magazine. It is open for public, and you will find there very funny and interesting things. For example, like the veteran of the Russian Foreign Service tells Mr. Burns, the CIA director, so basically that he's not really good at his job. But the point is, here's one of the released documents. As you can see yourself, the red seal, рассекречено, means declassified. As you can see yourself, that it's from Brussels, and it was provided on the 19th of March 2024. And so this particular piece, and again, it's done in such a way, people say, oh, it could be, operation of influence, and SVR, for example, deliberately throw those documents to create some kind of the, confusion. Possible? Certainly possible. Nobody says that it's not possible. But I think so in this case we are dealing with the, real McCoy. It's a genuine article, and one of the results, this is genuine article because this has been actually around since probably April, but this is kind of precedes it, and this is about France, being apoplectic about this whole thing. And what they say that, for example, the name of it's call sign, the resident of SVR, Felix, that's whoever this person is. They are very deep cover. They are people you will never find unless you have, all those NATO counterintelligence services trying to find them. But it's all intelligence games, and I'm really happy I'm staying away from this. But the beauty of it is obviously that already then, that as they say, starting from 17th January, there are, including the points of the temporary location of the foreigners near Kharkov, the tens of citizens of France have been killed. Well, as you can see yourself, the tens of citizens of France is in quotation marks, which means these are the obviously military people. That's, you remember this hysteria which was actually in France now, and they explain that French army is really worried. Well, of course they should worry. And here is what they conclude, that nevertheless the data tells that French contingent for sending to Ukraine still is being prepared. At the first stage they want to send around 2,000 people, but Ministry of Defense of France is worried that there's such significant, really? Okay, that's France, significant military formation will not be deployed and quartered in Ukraine without, without being noticed. So yeah, and because they understand that it will be the priority target from by Russian armed forces. And yeah, there are a bunch of things very interesting about, for example, United States trying to recruit the criminals and things of this nature. Extremely interesting. So if you want to find it, you can find it on the SVR's website. Those who can get onto it, I think so you can. And yeah, read it. It's fascinating, really. So, and Russians are going, just throw the gauntlet, and here it is. Deal with this. And this is not just that thing. So we suddenly, while we have this whole, NATO meeting and things of this nature, we have all those hysterical Polish people like Poland hopes new NATO training center could prepare Ukrainians living abroad to fight Russia. Sure, yeah. I mean, Poland always had this kind of, detached from reality opinion about itself. Not that it's doing well economically, but yeah, Jacek Siwiera, he's the head of the Poland National Security Bureau. So what can I say? And I will be touching on this issue today, why they are not that good, all those NATO people. And so we have this other thing, that, like this lady. She is a political scientist. She also has degree in history. And she is the one U.S. official from the, the U.S. Deputy Defense Secretary. She says that NATO preparing for protracted wars, Pentagon says. The U.S. and its allies are planning to continue ramping up defense spending, which will ensure long-term demand for weapons, blah, 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 blah. And the point is, you cannot explain to anybody there. Well, some understand, but most don't. Money don't buy you bang for a buck. And this is what, for example, Wall Street Journal admits. And yeah, Wall Street Journal is a tabloid, it's garbage basically. But still, there are a number of things which are beginning to pop up. Yeah, they can go out and do whatever they want in terms of increasing their spending. But here it is. This is Times of India doing it today. They talk about, I didn't go to Wall Street Journal website. I don't really consider them serious publication whatsoever, but still. The Wall Street Journal has reported that precision-guided and high-tech munitions provided by the US-led West to Ukraine have been rendered useless because of Russia's electronic warfare capabilities. Ukrainian commanders told Wall Street Journal that some of these weapons had retired within weeks of hitting the battlefield. The report also cites an US official saying that the Russians are really getting good at jamming weapons. So the Times of India makes this video. There is an article in Wall Street Journal if you wish. You can go out and read it if you want. It's behind the paywall, but yeah, who cares? So now we have the senators. And again, keep in mind, like all of them, and again, make no mistake, I'm not against lawyers, but they are all either lawyers or political scientists. And here it is. We're stunned by weakness of its military industry. And this is the Senator Jim Rich, a Republican from Idaho. He talks, I think all of us have been stunned by the weakness and the holes in our industrial production when it comes to defense. Rich told NATO Public Forum, we are going to have to do more. And here the issue which I am constantly, trying to explain to people, you cannot do more. You can print more money, but the point is the development of the weapon and deployment of it is an extremely complex matter. And when you lose the school, for example, like United States declares for years now, for, I don't know, at least 7 years, that, oh yeah, we're close to hypersonic weapons. No, you're not. So, I mean, there will be some attempts, and there are some attempts, but again, as even NATO officials admitted, 20 years away. So, yeah, good luck trying this, because when you cannot even produce the supersonic, forget about hypersonic anti-shipping missile or any attack missile, forget it. You're just missing the whole phase of the development. You're missing the whole generation of the weapons. And the United States is nowhere near there, let alone all those chihuahuas from Europe. And so that's not only it. And suddenly, Douglas McGregor. And I have a gigantic disagreement with him. It's not even disagreement. He simply doesn't know what he's talking about when he's talking about Red Army, Soviet Union, and all that, because it's just to the point of being a comedy, honestly, and really sad comedy. Here, however, he actually makes total sense, and that's what I've been saying all along. I wrote so much about it that he talks about RFK Jr. is spot on regarding Washington's poorly disguised attempts to drag us into the war with Russia. But the situation in Ukraine is very different, and we have no ground troops to send. The European peoples don't want a war, and neither do Americans. And he's talking about Vietnam, and in addition, for reasons of geography, Ukraine cannot become another Vietnam. In 1965, no one could or would interdict us on the way to Vietnam. Today, Russian subs would immediately shut down the Atlantic, and all of our staging areas in Eastern Europe would be, oh, he missed the B, but it's fine, utterly demolished in a hail of missiles. Worse, US NATO air and missile defenses are only capable of defending 5% of NATO's European territory. In the space of 5-7 days, our missile supply would be exhausted. And this is what I'm on the record for many years. Actually, I was the one who writing. You can go on my blog, and already in 2013 I wrote that Russian Navy doesn't exist for dominating seas per se. I mean, they can now, but already then I wrote that what Russian Navy is the sea denial force. Its task is purely to sink anything which moves in the Atlantic or Pacific, and then of course shut down all those shipping lanes of communications if United States decides to commit suicide by cope. And McGregor says that there are no forces, which I agree, there are no forces. United States Army is in no position or in no shape to fight any serious war, let alone when you talk about the situation, as he correctly points out, that the air defense of NATO is a joke. Okay, and this was primarily for the marketing and, just making people in Europe believe that they are somehow protected. NATO is not about protection. NATO is all about expansion and making money for the class of the rich and jerks, So, and that's why they continue to talk about, like this idiot from the Saab concern from Sweden. He's talking about, yeah, we need to make Baltic Sea an internal NATO lake. Dude, learn the freaking, I don't know how he even, heads the Saab corporation when he doesn't know basic facts of the weapon systems. I don't know. And I think I have explanation to this. And remember, I was talking about the situation with the military education in general. Forget about those political scientists, that's useless garbage. It's not a science, it's not profession, it's not occupation. Most of those are ignorant people, the same as the whole crop of the so-called Western, historians like Anatol Levin, who has no clue what he's writing about. Yet Andrew Basevich allows him to write this drudgery and BS, which he produces in copious amounts in his, outlet of the, Quincy Institute. Just one example. Most of them, they have no clue what they're talking about. And let me explain. Let me just remind you. Remember Tim Buchan and Cost of Loyalty, the book? And he is talking about the problem of the U.S. military academies. In a 2009 article, Tom Ricks recommended the elimination of military academies altogether. Why we should get rid of the West Point, he talks about. And he's talking about an extremely low academic level. And yeah, if you didn't know, at some point of time they were considering turning West Point into a 3-year institution. And he's talking about the West Point. America is unlikely to find better officers through ROTC programs at other colleges. The standards to become an Army officer, regardless of the source, have been declining for over 100 years. And he's talking about that. And again, listen, it's like the same thing which I'm talking about when we talk about Sandhurst. It's a fake military school. For 44 weeks, you cannot prepare a real cadre officer for the modern battlefield. Just to give you an example, again, and I will talk about it, why it is so crucial and why we finally reach the critical mass of the nincompoops who have no idea about modern warfare, and across the board, not only in the political spectrum, but also in the professional military environment in the West. And just to demonstrate to you, I will remind you, when you talk about, we'll look at this 4-year institution in West Point, 5 days a week. Here it is. It's Yaroslavl Air Defense Systems Military Academy. 5 years. 6 days a week, and so it's 6 academic years with the degree in specialty and graduate degrees in engineering. Look at this: faculty of the automatic systems of the control, faculty of the air defense missile complexes, faculty of the command points of the Zenit, which is air defense missile systems, and on the faculty of the radio, which is radar stations of the lower elevations, faculty of the radio technical complexes, and you on and on. You get in and you bombarded with the STEM, physics, mathematics, all kinds of theory of operations. You get the engineering degree like I do. So we basically have 2 degrees. It's essentially undergraduate degree in military science and graduate degree in engineering, with a huge slant towards the military systems, weapon systems. And here is the very interesting situation. This explains to you very much what is happening, and especially what happened in the last 20 years. It is a catastrophe. And parameters, obviously, the U.S. War College magazine, and it's interesting to read. It is sometimes, especially seeing how people delude themselves and how they, for example, bought all this crap from Ukraine about these forces and losses and things of this nature. However, here we have this the manuscript published in the latest issue, I believe it's summer 2024, of Parameter, the U.S. Army War College Quarterly, and it's called Closing the Gap, Officer Advanced Education STEM+M. Plus M standing for the management. I don't know why you need the management, because essentially it's dissolved. This whole course of management is dissolved through the combat and field manuals, and it's very management heavy, but hey, whatever. But STEM. And here what they write. It is the, it's a sentence. So they say, we examine the Army's history with STEM education and show that in terms of education, the current Army Officer Corps has fallen behind its requirement for technology-enabled forces and modern society. We conclude with recommendation of how the Army can close the STEM+M educational gap through advances in higher education and adopting talent management practices. So what is their propositions? Basically, they talk about that America's world ranking in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics has declined, placing our once unquestioned supremacy in technological innovation and application on par with or behind those of our economic and military adversaries. Well, I have news. Even in 1980s, American education in STEM wasn't the world's best. It's just hasn't been. But that's a separate question. So, and they talk about, obviously, in 2018, the Army strategy assessed the strategic environment to include partners, allies, and adversaries leveraging advanced capabilities such as cyber, counter space, electronic warfare, robotics, and artificial, intelligence. So, and blah 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 blah. And they talk about strategy informed by STEM. And let me put it this way. You cannot put modern tactical, let alone operational level officer into the field without him having high level graduate degree in engineering with the military slant. You just can't. It doesn't work like this. And so while they kind of recognize it, they write about it, and so they but here is a damning, it's absolutely damning thing which explains to you why the United States, it never was realistically, the only thing they have for their record is the goddamn Gulf War 1.0, when they beat the crap out of the minor military power, and so they kind of was talking about it for so many years. But here is the stunner, and just read this, it's just absolutely crazy. At this levels, 55% of army battalions and nearly 15% of brigades are unlikely to have any staff officers possessing advanced STEM+M degrees. This shortage will become more important as the use of disruptive technologies increases during military operations, where critical decisions are under accelerated timelines. And here you have people with the undergraduate degrees in blue, and in this whatever orange, they have the graduates with the STEM degrees. But there is a point, and that's the it's a catastrophe actually for the army, because basically ROTC doesn't work. It this good old 1980s officer candidate schools and ROTC, they were good for that time, more or less. Today you just cannot produce competent officer at all. And as the result, what do you have? You have people in staffs who do not have STEM degrees, who don't have military engineering background. Well, look at Lisa Franchetti, the chief of naval operations. It's incredible. She has a degree in journalism and degree in management from Phoenix University, no less. She's an admiral. She runs the nuclear missile carrying navy. And yet, there she is. I don't know how she became navigator. It's just like, it boggles your mind. And then you suddenly have this whole political top, which absolutely, some of them cannot count. Some of them don't understand what trigonometry is. Forget about those differential equations and things like that, and how you form and shape the mind of the modern officer. Because guess what? The main idea behind the preparation of the modern officer is for him to have space-time picture of the battle in his head. And you cannot do this if you do not understand how mathematics of this work. It's like I already introduced this example about 7 or 6 years ago in one of the Russian forums. We've been kind of going at it with this about math, physics, all those advanced courses on them. And so the guy, he's a pilot of the Su-35, no less. I know he is combat pilot, and so we knew each other personality, and he like, oh yeah, I studied for so many years, and in the Air Force Academy, basically the flight school college of officers, basically 6 academic years. I never needed differential equations. And you know what? And people correctly stated, which by the way this article in Parameters also states, they were not teaching you to know all of them. They were teaching to expand your goddamn mind that you are better prepared as a pilot than anybody else, which is true. And he's like, yeah, probably right. So yeah, don't ask me. I suffered a lot through the advanced mathematics courses and engineering courses in Naval Academy. It's hard. It's extremely hard because you just constantly bombarded with this mathematics and applied mathematics, which is, and physics. So you go into the weapons and integration of the weapon systems. Well, good luck getting there with degree in journalism. And there you go. And this is not just the, how to put it, that is why you have these people, from business world or from even military. They go out, they don't know basic things about weapons. They don't understand modern tactics. They don't understand how the actual, no, it's not just TRADOC. TRADOC has to operate on the, training and doctrinal command. They have to operate on the real data. But evidently, Pentagon bought completely the BS which have been actually poured in them from Kiev. And when you have no data, you have no awareness, you don't understand what you're looking at, what's left? shake the air. We will develop this. We will develop that. Well, good luck. Go. Ask anybody where Starliner is right now. It is still in the orbit. And yeah, those poor astronauts, they, of course, which is, I mean, they are heroic people. Make no mistake. I have admiration for those people. But they still have to kind of present a PR persona that, oh yeah, we are absolutely, confident that the Starliner will get us back to the Earth. No. I cannot believe that somebody would risk their lives to getting into this goddamn death trap, and trying to. So something has to be done. Elon Musk to the rescue. In the end, well, call Russians. I don't know if Russians want to do it anymore, So, and this is just one of those failures. And then when you get to the higher political level and what they call strategies and strategic level, they have no clue. Go to the Council of Foreign Affairs Relations or whatever. These people are clueless. They do not understand how, for example, modern science applies to, modern warfare. And then suddenly they recognize that actually that's Ukrainians today. Even Kiev Post wrote that Russians produced 8 times more standoff long-range weapons than whole NATO combined. And they will continue to produce it even more and more and more. And those weapons, pardon me, there's nothing like that there. And again, as I already, in NATO, and as I already stated, there's, look at air defense. It's pathetic. Not only they don't work, as Mr. Semyonov, first deputy commander of the VKS, Airspace Forces of Russia said, Patriot Pack 3 cannot defend itself. Forget about defending something else. Same goes for NASAMS, which is a Frankenstein. They put the AIM 120 MRAM into their, platform and think that that's that air defense complex. Really, I showed you the Yaroslav Air Defense Academy. You have to have an extremely deep and profound engineering education when you're dealing with modern warfare. They don't. It's even nowadays military academies in the United States do not provide it. And even if you get the guy, for example, with some bachelors in some kind of engineering field, do you think so? It's that easy to prepare cadre officer who is competent and who can combine it all together? No, you cannot do that. And that's the failure. You can see it all over the place. And that's what I wanted to tell you guys today. And yeah, this is time to kind of wrap it up. And so as always, guys, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee too. You are the guys, you are the ones who keep me in this business. Thank you very much for that. And what can I say? Have a nice rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.